Hello, everyone, and welcome to the webinar. Thank you so much for joining us. Today's session is on how e-commerce businesses can make best use of Google Analytics data. We will cover the basics of the Enhanced Ecommerce reports, some business use cases, and also its applications. We will also cover a couple of very basic custom analytics solutions and talk about any questions that you might have towards the end of the webinar. So with me here, I have Anshul and Bismay. My name is Aditi. I am the marketing manager at Tatwik. Here I have with me Anshul, who is a customer success manager at Tatwik. Hi, Anshul.
Hi, Aditi.
And then we have Bismay, who is the data science lead. Hi, Bismay.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Aditi.
All right. So before we get started, I'm just going to take you guys through how to interact in today's webinar. So if you, since we are using a new tool, and I'm sure all of you can see the change, while I'm taking the polls, or if and when you have a question during the webinar, you might have to click on the three dots in the red box towards the right end of your screen to expand your control panel. Once it's expanded, if there's a poll running, you can just take a poll, give your answer, and submit it right there, as you can see in the slide right now. And if you want to ask a question, you just go to the chat box and change the position of the drop down from chat to ask a question. All right, so please feel free to ask us any questions that you might have during the entire session. I will be sure to bring them up towards the end of our webinar, which is the Q&A session. I also have an amazing, exciting free takeaway for all of you as a token of gratitude for all those who stay back till the end. And that's it from my end. Right before we begin with this session, I would like to take a poll to understand our audiences better. So if you guys could just take this poll and tell us which Google Analytics version do you currently use, whether it's the standard or the premium. This will give us a better sense of what our audience is like today. And it will also help us tweak the content and give you more insights based on the kind of GA version that you're using. We keep this poll running for 5 more seconds, and then we will get on with our session. Thank you so much for taking the poll. Oh, I see some more answers. I'm just going to wait for a while. I also see some people attending our webinar. I recognize those names from last few webinars. Thank you guys for joining. I'm so glad to have you back. I think everybody has answered the poll. We shall now get on with the session, and I will hand it over to Anshul.
Thank you, Aditi. And a very warm welcome to one and all. Thanks for joining the webinar. So I'll quickly set up the context for today's webinar. So in this webinar today, we will try to answer 3 basic questions. So the first question would be, if I am an e-commerce store and have Enhanced Ecommerce implemented on my website or my application, what do the different reports under the conversions e-commerce tab actually mean? How do I interpret and use those reports? The second question would be, can I somehow make use of this data to understand who are my most valuable customer? And then we will try to see if we can use this data to optimize the conversion path for some of our users, for all our users on the application. So before we move on to the actual reports in Google Analytics, we will first see how the basic user journey, how the basic user flow looks like for an e-commerce store. To demonstrate the same, I'll navigate to the homepage of Google Merchandise Store. Now, on my screen, you will be able to see that on the home page, there are some navigation options at the top of the page. Then I'm able to see few banners on the home page. And if I scroll down to the bottom of the page, I will be able to see some navigation options there too. So I'll navigate back to the top. I'll click on apparel. I'll click on t-shirt. When I click on t-shirt, I will be navigated to the product listing page. Here, I will be able to see multiple products from the t-shirt category. I'll click on this product here and I will be navigated to the product detail page for this particular product. I will select the size here. I'll give the quantity as 1 and I'll add this product to cart. Now, once I've added this product to cart, I will be able to check out this product. I'll click on view basket and I'll click on checkout. So the checkout page is loading for me. And on the checkout page, the Google Merchandise Store is asking me to fill in 3 details. It's asking me to fill in my address. It's asking me to review and confirm my order and fill in the payment details. So once I fill in all these details, I will be able to buy this product. I'll be able to complete the transaction. Keeping this entire e-commerce journey in mind, let's see how Google Analytics captured the various data points and the touch point in the reports. So the first report that we will be starting with will be the shopping behavior report. Now, just like we saw right now, there are multiple touch points in the e-commerce journey. A user starts a session, a user sees a product, adds the product to cart, checks out, and then the final transaction happens. The shopping behavior report shows me the funnel for this entire user journey. I will be able to see how many users reached till each and every touch point. Now, from this report, I will be able to identify if there is any touch point in the user journey which is weak. So if there is a touch point from where too many users are dropping off, I will be able to identify that. It also allows me to add dimensional filters to see if the drop off or abandonments are happening from a particular filter, from a particular dimension, such as region, source medium, or city. And later, I will be able to create a segment based on a particular touch point. And later, I'll push that segment to AdWords and we'll try to remarket to these users to drive conversions. So based on that, I will be able to increase my conversion rate and decrease my drop-offs. We will see how the report looks like in Google Analytics. So I'll navigate to the shopping behavior reports tab. And just like I mentioned, on my screen, you will be able to see the total number of sessions on Google Merchandise Store, the number of sessions in which a product was viewed, the number of sessions in which a product was added to cart, the sessions with checkout, and the total number of sessions with transaction. So the shopping behavior report shows you this entire funnel. If I scroll down to the bottom, I will be able to see this report or the abandonment report by adding a dimensional filter, such as browser, campaign, city. Let's say I want to see this entire funnel by device category. So I'll just select device category from here. So when I do that, I will be able to see this funnel for each and every device category, such as desktop, mobile, or tablet. I'll navigate back to the funnel here, the funnel at the top. If you see the second step, which is the session with product view, I'll see that around 82% users are dropping off from this particular step. What does that mean? This would mean that there are 82% users who are viewing a particular product, and only 18% from these users are actually going to the next step, which is add to cart. So people are viewing the products, but many users are dropping off from that particular step. So let's see how do I utilize this. If I click on this down arrow here, I will be able to create a segment out of these users. So I'll click on create new segment. The segment is named no cart edition. So this is basically a segment of users who have viewed a product but have not added a product to cart. Once I've created this segment, I'll push this segment to AdWords to remarket to these particular users for the products that they viewed earlier, and hence driving them to conversions. So this is how I utilize the shopping behavior report. Now we will navigate to the next report, which will be the checkout behavior. So navigating to the next report. So checkout is usually the last step before transaction. It's the last step before the dollars actually come in. So I would never want my users to drop off from this particular step. As we saw just now, the checkout funnel again consists of three sub-steps. The sub-steps are, as we saw in case of Google Merchandise Store, the sub-steps were filling of the address, review and confirm order, and payment details. If in case any of my user is facing a difficulty in any of these three steps, it is highly likely that the user will drop off from that particular step. The checkout funnel helps me identify the weak points in my checkout funnel. Now, the usual sub-step for a checkout funnel will be the shipping address, the review order, and the payment, like it was in the case of Google Merchandise Store as well. Again, just like the shopping behavior report, I will be able to create a segment after identifying the weak touch point, and I will be able to remarket to users who have dropped from the weak touch point. So this will help me optimize my checkout process and increase my sales and revenue, of course. I'll navigate back to the checkout funnel report in Google Analytics. So this is how the checkout funnel looks like. I'm able to see the total number of sessions in which the users had filled the billing and the shipping, users has filled in the payment details, has reviewed the order, and then the total number of sessions with transaction. Now, again, if I scroll down to the bottom here, I will be able to add dimensional filters if I want to see this funnel for a particular dimension, let's say device category. Now, the review section here is usually the section wherein the users get to know about the taxes and the shipping charges. And in case the shipping charges for a particular product that the user has brought is way too high, it's very highly likely that the users will drop off from that step. So if I want to remarket to those users who have dropped off from the review section, I'll click here. Google Analytics will allow me to create a segment for these users, and later I will remarket to this particular segment by giving them some discount on the shipping charges or on the product that they have added to cart. So this is how you can make use of the checkout behavior report to optimize your checkout funnel. Navigating to the next report, the third report, which is the product performance. Now, as an owner of an e-commerce store, I would certainly be interested in knowing what all product categories or what all product brands or what all products, to be specific, on my website or application are performing better than others. Product performance report can help you analyze and measure that. There will be two tabs under the product performance report. One will be the summary tab and the other one will be the shopping behavior tab. The shopping behavior, the summary tab first will show you how much revenue each and every product or product category has generated and how many quantities for a particular product or product category have been sold. The shopping behavior in turn will show you the entire funnel for a particular product or product category, right from product views till the transaction. Based on the data that I receive under the product performance report, I can decide whether I have to promote a particular brand or stop selling a particular brand. Let's see how this data shows up in the GA reports. I'll navigate back to the reports, navigate back to the GA dashboard, and I'll navigate to the product performance report. Under the product performance report, I'm on the summary tab first, and here you will be able to see that the primary dimension selected is product, and against every product I'm able to see the product revenue, the unique purchases, and in addition to that I'm also able to see the cart to detail ratio and the buy to detail ratio. Here the primary dimension that I've selected is product. You can change it to product SKU or product category or product brand. So I'll just change it to product brand for once, and I will be able to see how different brands on my e-commerce store are performing. So the brands here for Google Merchandise Store are Google, Android, YouTube, Go, Gmail, like you can see on the screen. I'll navigate back to the product dimension, and let's see how the shopping behavior tab looks like. I'll click on the shopping behavior tab, and I'll again scroll down to the bottom. So under the shopping behavior tab, just to reiterate, I will be able to see the entire funnel for each product and product category. As you can see on the screen here, I have the product as my primary dimension, and against the product, I am able to see how many times a particular product was viewed, how many times the product detail was loaded, how many times the product was added to cart, how many times the product was removed from cart, and how many unique purchases were there for this particular product. So the shopping behavior tab effectively shows you the entire funnel for each product or product category or product brand. So this was all about the product performance report. I'll navigate to the next report under Enhanced Ecommerce. So the next report that we will be referring to will be the sales performance. The sales performance report is nothing but a record of all the transactions that are happening on your website or your application. So the report will show you the transaction IDs, and against every transaction ID, I will be able to see the revenue in that transaction, what were the shipping charges, what were the taxes, and how many quantities were transacted in that particular transaction. I can use this report to identify if there are any product brands or if there are any product categories for which the shipping charges are usually high, uh, because that might eventually make my customer make a decision not to buy the products. So the sales performance report can help me identify that. In addition to that, I can form clusters of shipping charges for which the transactions are maximum. Let's see how the data for transactions gets reflected in GA. I'll navigate to the sales performance report. So I'm on the sales performance report. If I scroll down, I will be able to see under this report the transaction IDs, the revenue in a particular transaction, the taxes, the shipping charges, and the quantities that are transacted. If I click on a particular transaction ID here, I will be able to see the details of the product along with the quantity of that product that has been transacted. So this is how the data under sales performance report gets reflected in GA. Now, many of our clients frequently make use of these two reports, which are the sales performance and the product performance, to do market basket analysis or cross-selling. Let's see how that is done. Just now you saw that under sales performance, if I click on a particular transaction, I will be able to see the products that were bought in that one single transaction. I can use the sales performance to identify all the product categories that are usually brought together. So I'll form a cluster of product categories that are brought together. From this basic analysis, let's say I find out that trousers and shoes on my website are usually brought together. Later, I'll again go to the sales performance report, identify all the users who have just brought one of the products from this product cluster, and I'll remarket, I'll run AdWords remarketing campaign, driving them to buy the second product or the other products in the cluster. So this is how I make use of both the reports combined to do market basket analysis. So we will navigate to the next report, which will be the product list performance report. Again, a very, very important report in Google Analytics Enhanced E-commerce. So as an e-commerce store, you will certainly have multiple properties or multiple sections on your website, such as the top navigation menu, or the catalog section, or the search section, the internal search, or the recently viewed section, or the recommended section. And you will always want to measure the performance of these different lists. Product list performance report combines the user journey for each and every list, right from list views till transaction, eventually giving me a measure of how these lists are performing. Now, usually, the e-commerce store track these lists, which are catalog, search, wish list, related product, and recently viewed. So once I have the data under these reports, I will try to increase the click-through rate for each and every list, or I'll identify the important lists for me and will try to maximize the CTR for those particular lists. Let's see how the data under the product list performance report gets reflected in GA. I'll navigate back to the dashboard and I'll navigate to the product list performance report. Again, here for Google Merchandise Store, we have various lists such as YouTube, men's t-shirt, drinkware, fun. And against each and every list, I'm able to see how many times a product was viewed in that list, how many clicks were there, what is the click-through rate for that particular list, how many times a product was added to cart from that list, and how much revenue a particular list has generated. So the product list performance report gives me this extensive data. One interesting thing here, in addition to the list name, I will also be able to capture the position of the product in a list that was transacted. If I click on the secondary dimension here and add a secondary dimension for product list position, the position for the product clicked or transacted will be reflected here. Now, this particular feature can even be used to optimize the search engine, the internal website or application search engine. Let's see how. Suppose you have internal search implemented on your website or application and you want to measure the performance of your search, the internal search. So whenever the user searches for a product, I'll pass the product list name as search. Now, from the product list performance report, I get to know that the average click position under the search list is 9th or 10th. What does that mean? So this would essentially mean that whenever the user on my website or application searches for something, he has to scroll till the 9th or the 10th option before the user continues his journey. Which I would not expect. If a user is searching for something, I would expect the average click position to be between first and fourth. So this is how I make use of product list performance report to optimize the performance of the various lists and properties in my website or application. So we will now navigate to the next report, which will be internal promotion report. Again, as an e-commerce store, you will certainly be hosting multiple banners, multiple promotions on various screens in your application or your website. And you will, of course, want to measure the performance of these banners. Are these banners actually contributing to the transaction, or they're just occupying spaces on your website? Internal promotion report can help you identify and measure that. So with internal promotion report, I will be able to measure the click-through rate of banners on my website, and I will be able to measure how much revenue a particular banner is generating. In addition to the banner names, I will be able to see the banner ID, the banner creative, and what is the position of the banner that is being clicked. So once I have the data under the internal promotion report, how do I utilize this data? I can use this data to restructure banners on my website or application. Now, from the internal promotion report, let's say you've identified that the banner which is placed on position 12 on your homepage is generating the highest revenue for you. So you would rather want to move that banner towards the top so that it is visible to most of the users, and hence you would expect more revenue from this particular banner. The second use case can be, let's say from the internal promotion report, you've identified that there are few banners which have a very low CTR. So you can decide if you want to remove these banner altogether and go for some new designs and offers. We will now navigate to the internal promotion report under Google Analytics. So I'll navigate to the report. If I scroll down, so here again, the primary dimension will be the internal promotion name. And against every promotion, I will be able to see how many times that promotion or the banner was viewed, how many times the banner was clicked, what is the click-through rate for that banner, and how much revenue that particular banner has generated. Again, if I add a secondary dimension here for position, the internal promotion position, I will be able to see the position of the banner which is clicked. If I sort this table by revenue, now here I see that the banner which is offer campaign, which is generating the highest revenue for me, is placed at bottom slot left, is placed at left bottom on my home page. So I would not expect that. So I would rather move this banner to the top again so that it's visible to most of the users. So I would expect, so once this restructuring has been done, I would expect this banner to generate even more revenue for me. So this is how I can make use of the internal promotion report. So these were the 6 basic reports and the utilization in a nutshell. So I will probably now hand this over to Bismay, who would be walking you through 2 simple custom implementations that you can do on your GA data to draw even more insights. Over to you, Bismay.
All right, guys, I'm sorry to barge in like this, but before Bismay takes over, I would like to run a poll and get an understanding of whether you all are finding this webinar to be interesting or not. If you could just take this quick poll and let us know if you're interested in our Google Analytics expert reaching you out for your enhanced e-commerce implementation for your mobile or website, sorry, for your website or mobile app. What I will then do is I'll relay your requirement to our experts and they will be in touch with you personally. I will run this poll for the next 5 seconds and then we will move on with the session. Awesome. Thank you so much for taking the poll. Over to you, Bismay.
Yeah. Thank you, Aditi. Thank you, Anshul. I think, guys, very welcome. You are already in the session for about 30 minutes, and our GA expert, he has already talked about quite a lot of wealth of reports that Google Analytics has to offer to any marketer or a product manager who is handling their respective departments. Correct. I believe most of you do see these reports day in and day out, but when it comes to actual putting into action for your marketing or budget decisions, there might be some hiccups. Uh, I would say for our most of our clients, we generally recommend them to look at these reports actually over a week or even in their monthly reports, rather than seeing all the bigger metrics or the revenue metrics or the cost metrics. We also ask them to check out this particular insightful reports that are already available in GA, which can help them take further actions. Correct. Now, I am a data science lead here at Tatwik. I take care of mostly predictive analytics based use cases, not only for your Google Analytics data, but also any kind of CRM data or other analytics tools that you might have. So the objectives are generally either to increase your marketing efficiency or to uh, uh, bring in more effectiveness in your product development cycles. This is where I wanted to just share across what Tatvik has done in terms of a couple of basic solutions for which you do not need a lot of expertise in data science, a lot of expertise in machine learning, or a lot of even if a simple arithmetic or Excel platform can help you provide those solutions up to some extent. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to talk about is LTV. How do I know which are the customers who have the best LTV or the lifetime value? Yeah, so lifetime value is an industry buzzword. Um, SaaS companies, e-commerce companies, everybody kinds of use it. But when I was asking a marketer a couple of days back, I asked him whether do you use the segments while running your campaigns, or do you just do based on what Anshul was talking about, like a cart add to cart addition segment or cart abandoners section? What do you do like that? Uh, Unfortunately, his answer was they do it the basic way because that's where the bulk of the audience is, and they don't do any targeted specific campaigns for high worth customers, which is sad to know. So if I tell who is my high LTV customer, obviously the first thing that comes into our mind is they have higher order value, they give us high profits, they buy in volumes, they buy frequently, and I might have acquired them at a very low cost, or to retain them, I am actually not spending a huge bomb on them, which makes sense because these people are high LTV customers. Are going to retain on my website for a longer period of time, and they're also profitable to me. Correct. So if I want to see in GA, can I find out where is LTV? Yes, you can do so. So this is kind of a report that you can find in User Explorer. I'll just go back. I'll just do an Alt tab. Sorry. Uh, if I just do an Alt tab and I go to User Explorer report under Audience, you can see under User Explorer report there are client IDs which have been set by Google, and if you click on a single client ID, you have something called sessions LTV, then session duration LTV, then there is a revenue LTV. Unfortunately, it is zero, maybe because of incorrect tracking, or maybe because that individual has not given us any revenue until then. So here, and nobody knows how Google and Analytics or Google is calculating this LTV, because it might be an historical aggregate of all the costs or all the profits that has been accumulated by the user, or it might be a predictive model in the backend, which is running in the backend to give the total revenue, the lifetime revenue, right? Unfortunately, Google Analytics does not allow us to export this. So if we're not able to export this in an Excel, then we are not going to be able to help in any kind of analysis, or it doesn't allow us to put this client IDs with high revenue LTVs into a segment, which that means we cannot push it to AdWords, we cannot push it to DoubleClick, we cannot do remarketing on them. Don't worry, we have an alternative to that, and it's quite simple. I'll just go back to my slide, and yeah. So how do we do that? We have, if we have Google Analytics standard, we can use the Google Analytics API to extract your data. It's a simple code that you need to write, and any programmer who has set up your website, that he can help us. They can help us in extracting the data. The data is mostly the transactional data. As we know, a lifetime value of a customer can be a function of monetary value. It can be the recency factor, as in the how recently the customers have come in, and the frequency factor, where how customers are frequently interacting or selling, buying on our website. So we need to extract this the transactional and the behavioral variables of those users acquired during the cohort of, say, 6 months down the line. Why? Because we need to have a optimum number of customers or users who have multiple transactions during that particular period. Oh, sorry. I'm very sorry. I think I just moved to the end of this slide. Just bear with me. Yeah, we're back again. So then the major part comes into picture, where you do your LTV prediction model. So Tatvik has a simple LTV prediction model, which you can use it for running, and which has a couple of algorithms where they provide three kinds of output. The first output is obviously what is the future revenue, or the LTV. Trust me, if you have profit margins available for your users, then we can give you more exact amount of LTV. Expected number of transactions, obviously we would like to know that, and the probability of staying alive. Oh, that's nice. Why? Because you can now get to know who are the users who have higher LTVs. Also, you can get to know who are the users or customers who are actually going to churn, because 1 minus probability of staying alive gives you the churn rate, right? And finally, that's where analysis and reporting comes into picture, which marketers like Aditi look up to when they are going for marketing. So what we can do is we can rank those users based on their LTVs. We can rank their acquisition channels. We can rank their campaigns and more. So let's see what type of scenarios or cases that we can use with respect to LTV of users. We can find out which are the high LTV cities or regions, so that a marketer knows what type of campaign or to run for what particular city. If they're losing out on their bids, or they are actually getting higher revenue per user from that particular city. Similarly, we can do for source medium, say Google Organic is a higher LTV segment, then you should probably put in more bidding amount for anybody who is arriving from Google Organic, so that they return more, they do more frequent transactions, and the average order value is quite high also. For campaigns, this is important because why? We are running campaigns. We have already lost out on CPA, not lost out. Yeah, we have already spent the CPA to acquire the user. Now we should know whether our CPA plus CPR, that is the cost per retention, that should be actually less than the lifetime value that we are going to generate from the user. If it is not, then our ROI is actually is going to be negative, which nobody likes it. Correct? And also for products or brands, you can do the same. You can find out which are the brands that are actually giving us high LTVs customers than some products which are not giving us. Accordingly, you can run campaign specific for that products. Okay, that's the I think I gave a fair understanding or overview about how LTV models or predictive LTV works. Unfortunately, in Google Analytics standard, also in Google Analytics 360, you cannot use the LTV metric that is already available. uh, Please feel free to reach out to us if you are looking to find out the LTV or predict the LTV of your users, and based on that you need to take your next marketing decisions. Now, the fourth point, or the last thing before we roll up for today, is about Markov chain feature attribution analysis. What is that? Feature attribution analysis is mostly for product managers like me. When I set up the tasks that are supposed to be there in my sprint for the next release, I will need to know beforehand, or at least I have an understanding of which are the features that I need to include in this cycle versus which features I need to optimize from the previous cycle, or which features I should remove for sure. So all these three things, which features are helping my users convert on my website, which features are actually leading to users exiting from my website, and the final part is which features of the product actually need optimization in the next release. So it is very important for product managers. I would suggest you carry this feature attribution analysis at least every month, so that you are on terms with what actual your user wants on their digital product versus what you have in mind for the adding more and more features on your product, right? So I think I told you about the Markov model. So I'll just try to give us some basics, because some might be new to this Markov model term. So let's say there are three features. One is navigation, one is filter, one is search. So there is a chance that people come from navigation to filter. There is probability that users can come from navigation to search, and from filter to search. Okay, so Markov model says that these three features are actually states of system, and there can be n number of transitions between the states of the system, and there will be a rate of transition. And the rate of transition is such that if some person or some visitor is using a search feature, what is the probability that they have arrived on the search feature from which the past state only. It is dependent only the past state or the past feature that they have used, whether they have come from navigation or whether they have come from filter. Okay, so, okay, let's see about user journeys, because from there, from Markov model, we have to draw the user journeys on a canvas. Let's say about Mac. Mac is using this 3-4 features and they are converting. Let's see how Mac behaves. They have started. He has come to navigation. He has used the search feature. Then he uses a filter, and finally he converts. Ooh, Mac is a very profitable customer for me, because after using 3 features, he has actually converted, or he has reached the thank you page, right? Let's see about Maya. Let's see what she does. She comes to start, she goes to navigation, and finally she exits. Oh, which means that my navigation menu is screwed up, or they are not able to find, she was not able to find what she was looking for. Let's see for another person. That's Jack. Tag comes from start. He goes to search. He uses filter. Probably he will also be a profitable customer. Let's see. No, from filter he has moved to exit. He has exited the website, which also means that my filter functionality, if it was for brands, if it was for price, if it was for particular um, um, color, was not working properly, or maybe he didn't find the products that he was looking for, right? So now that we have three user journeys, can we actually calculate the probability of total conversion? Can we know what is the importance of each of these features for the total conversion? Yes, we can do that. It's simple arithmetic. You just need a just piece of code to extract the data. After that, you can do everything in Excel, or you can just write a small method or function which can do it for you automatically. So these are the three user journeys that we're going to refer, and this is something like the total user journey map with all the features that are available. Let's see. So a person, so there are navigation, search, filter, and obviously the thank you page as a conversion feature. So there are four features, and obviously when a person exits, they exit from the screen, right? Exit from the website. So let's see what are the probabilities of conversion. If I do 67% from start to navigation, now you will tell me how I did that. If we go back, there were three people out of three people, only two people had used the navigation feature, while one person had directly gone to the search feature. So I can just do the calculation that 2 by 3 goes to navigation, 1 by 3 goes to search. Similarly, for navigation to search and navigation to exit, there were two people who were following two different paths, so 50% probability to either of them. Similar from search to filter, it was 100%. From filter to conversion, it was 50%, and filter to exit was 50%. All of this can be looked at the respective user journeys. You add all those user journeys, and this is the final uh, user journey map that you're looking at, or the canvas that I tell my team, right? So if I have to find what is the total probability of conversion, there's a number that is appearing on the top right of your screen, that is 32.75%. Again, there's no Einstein in that. It's a simple arithmetic again. Say uh, to reach conversion, I think we can have two paths, right? From start to navigation, from navigation to search, from search to filter, and filter to conversion. If I just multiply all the probabilities, say 67% into 50% into 100% into 50%, that is one way of reaching conversion. What's the other way? Can you guess it? I think you can. Say the second is the start to search, then there is a search to filter, and the final one is filter to conversion. So this is another part where 33% into 100% into 50% comes into picture. So when you add both this, you will get the total probability of conversion as 32.75%. You can do the maths. That's very, I will not waste more time on this. I'll go forward. Okay, so you will want to know how can I extract this data from from your GA. Yeah. If you have seen I'll go back to the Google Analytics data for 1 second. Yeah. So I was at the same position of User Explorer report. If you can see, this particular client ID had done multiple events like event promotion slider view, viewed Google Organic Store. At 12:20 a.m., he had viewed bags. At 12:19 a.m., they had viewed men's T-shirt. So all these features, they would have used it when they were on the store. So most of them are either promotional slider view, or viewing Google Online Store, or viewing a particular product detail page, right? So it can depend on how is the user journey constructed, or how they have interacted on your website, what all features they have used. But unfortunately, as I said, you cannot use it to finally extract this data from this User Explorer report. But there is another way. If you have custom ID or client ID tracking and available through a custom dimension in your report, you can use that, and you can take out a report something like this, which is visible on your screen. So there's a client ID, and with respect to a particular date, there is an hour, there is a minute, then there are event actions that they have done, and then you can take any metric, either hits or users, which is not a concern for us. So wherever the event action is at either a conversion or a checkout page, that means that user has converted. If it has exited, then there will be the session will be closed at that point of time. So you can see there is a promotion impression going on for that person. Then there's a promotion click. There is a shown fashion gender, product impression, and a lot of other events that they would have taken into class. So using this, you have to actually add up or sum up all those client IDs or all those user journeys. And with respect to that, as I said, you have to draw the user map or the user journey map on a canvas. But now you will, the product manager is going to ask me, okay, I have the user journey map. I find out the total probability of conversion. Now what? Can I draw any further advanced insights from it? Yes, there's a report that you can extract from this analysis. That's removal effect analysis. As you can see, there are certain features that we are being displayed on your the left column, and there is a weighted conversion contribution, which also means that what are these features and how much they have impacted in your total conversion. So obviously, pin code checked has 35% conversion. So they carry the highest contribution. It seems obvious because somebody or most of them have used the pin code feature before final checkout. Maybe they were checking whether you are delivering to that particular pin code or what was the estimated time of delivery for that particular pin code. Let's see for a negative feature. That's like try and buy. It is like 1%. Oh, so try and buy feature is actually carrying the list attribution, which is also good for somebody, for some businesses who have very low economies of scale, because they would not like to use try and buy, and then if the buy function actually fails uh, at the outside or the offline visit, then they're actually losing money on that, right? So if I'm a product manager, I would not be much concerned about the try and buy feature, because I might lose only 1% of the conversion, but I'm still happy with just 99% weighted contribution of all the other features. Coupon applied and size guide, we can see there is an 11% contribution from both the ends, which is very particular to e-commerce apparel stores, where people tend to use lot of coupons, and they also use the size guides before going to the next phase. Oh, sorry, again there was some problem. I will beg your pardon. I will go back to the final analysis, which is called a transition matrix. It's a very colorful matrix that you can put it on an Excel sheet, and I love it as a product manager. I hope you love it too. But yeah, what kind of insights do this transition matrix? Let's see that. So it's an n cross n matrix of all the features that you have chosen for this. So there will be a start function to an end function, and all the features will be there, which will be carrying the probabilities of any particular state to any particular state. Say from internal banner to search, there is a 7% probability that an user ends up at search from when they are at internal banner. Similarly, for recommendations, there is a 3% chance that they are coming to search after recommendations. Okay, so what are the insights that you can look at? Let's see. So there is a 58% exit from search feature. If I go back, there's a 58% people who are actually leaving after using search. Oh, so that means my internal search is not working properly. I need some optimization, right? Okay, next insight can be a 17% conversion from coupon applied. Oh, that's great, right? Discount coupons usage is very good for me. I have to keep on putting more and more coupons or more relevant coupons that are required to increase my conversions, right? 45% exit from internal banner. Okay, if I go back, I see that 45% are actually exiting from the internal banner, which is, if you remember, Anshul was talking about internal promotions and internal banners, which means that my internal banner creatives are actually not designed properly, and there might be some problem with the design. I need to look back, or I need to task my marketing team now that yes, boss, there is some problem with our internal banners. You need to check this out. You need to correct this because I am losing a lot of conversions from here. Correct? Okay. Can I use this Markov model for anything else? Yes, definitely. What about a multi-channel attribution model? Yes, I know everybody wants to have this because they run a lot of paid campaigns. But unfortunately, because Google Analytics has generally a last direct click, a non-direct click, we are generally don't receive the attribution to our paid campaigns, which is very sad for us. Correct? So, if you know that Google Analytics 360 does not allow you to have data-driven attribution models at this point of time, but if you are a Google Analytics standard client, what do? No problem. We can do the same as a Markov model where we can take all your multiple channels like social network, referral channel, your GDN. There will be a Google Analytics search. There might be a direct channel, and we'll try to attribute it to the final conversion of the client with respect to every client ID. And it could be a similar result that you saw in a transition matrix or a similar result as that of a removal effect, and based on that you can actually start attributing some part of the conversions that are attributed in Google Analytics to say organic or direct to your paid campaigns where you are actually burning a lot of money. Correct? So final, what's the process? Again, quite simple. We extract your data from BigQuery if you are 360. If you are Google Analytics standard, then we extract it from API. Then we go for selecting your features and perform Markov modeling. It's again, it's based on the product manager. They might have 10, 20 features that they are actually looking at, and they know that this results in higher conversions. If you don't know, that's also fine. We can take n number of features until 50, 60, until the model runs and gives you a very good significant output which you are able to explain it to your boss. Okay, and then you use a removal key effect and you build a transition matrix, and finally I do what I do as an analyzing insights and incorporating them in the total product development life cycle every sprint cycle. Correct? Okay, so I think much about it. I have been talking on for quite long. Now it's the time to take in questions. Aditi, I'll hand it over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Bismay. All right, so we have a few questions from you guys, and we also have a few questions that we have been gathering from a few of our other attendees from other webinars as well, other similar webinars as well. So we're going to answer all of these here so you get a complete picture of what could be. All right, so our first question is from Christopher. He's asking whether we use client ID or user ID.
Okay. Anshul, do you want to answer, or should I go forward? So there are two things. Like if it is a user ID, as in an app, generally people log in to the apps. So we can take either an user ID for the entire set of analysis that I was talking about, whether it's a LTV analysis, whether it's a feature attribution analysis, or even market basket analysis. We can do all this stuff. Generally, for websites, we take client IDs because the numbers will be much higher, and people will not have logged in until reaching their login page where before the checkout page. So we would prefer to go forward with client IDs. But nevertheless, we can use login user IDs, we can use Android IDs, we can use device IDs, and unless it is a identified client ID, unique identifier. Yeah.
Awesome. Christopher, I hope that answers your question. I know you have a couple of more, and I'm going to come to those in a bit. Before that, I'm going to publish a poll and see if you guys would be interested in our data science team reaching out to you for these custom solutions. And maybe you can find out how they fit your business requirements, and we can take it up from there. I will run this poll for the next 5 seconds, and then we can go ahead with all the questions that we have in store for you guys. All right, 5 more seconds. Cool. Thanks a lot for taking the poll. So, okay, our next question is from Tarindu. He is, I'm so sorry. Yeah, he is asking what should be the most accurate data, session or users, and what would make sense. Anshul, you want to take it up?
Yeah, Diti. So here, I would rather say a combination of both, and the importance of any of these metric would depend on what we are trying to measure or the KPI. So, for example, let's say if I would definitely want to know how many users are using my application or my website, but let's say I have two users, and one of these users is giving me 10 session in a day, while the other one is giving only one. So session would rather indicate how much that user is involved on my website, whereas the users would give me the actual count, how many users are using my application. So I would rather say it's more dependent on what we are trying to measure or the KPI.
Okay, I hope that answers your question. I'm going to take up one more question that is not actually asked here, but was a very interesting one, and I think we should share with you all. The question was, can we capture additional product features such as which variant is sold the most, or what is the most optimum product discount? Anshul, you want to take this one up?
Yeah, Diti, sure. So with the enhanced e-commerce data, Google Analytics actually allows you to add product level dimensions directly, so that you can add as many product features as you want. Let's say if you want to add variants or you want to add discounts, you can certainly add those. So those will again be reflected in GA reports as well. So yes, we can do that.
Okay, thanks a lot. So, Christopher, another question is, how can we monitor how many times a user or client has logged in? Is that a part of e-commerce?
It won't be a part of e-commerce. It would rather be a part of the user ID implementation. So if we have user ID implemented, there is one report under Google Analytics, the user ID coverage report, which will show us what is the percentage of users on my application who are logged in or who are not logged in. And in addition to that, if a user is logged in, let's say, I can even pass an encrypted email ID or encrypted phone number for those users to identify those users later. So the report would be the user ID coverage report.
All right. So, Christopher, I see you've asked one more question, asking if we can show you how a user ID could be used in e-commerce. Like Anshul said, we need to have user ID implementation done for the same. So, if you need any help or if you would like us to show you, we will reach out to you and take you through how user ID implementation
Sure.
can be taken care
Yeah,
of.
we
right?
also have documentation in place for user ID implementation as well. So we can certainly help with that.
All right.
I think in Google Analytics right now for the merchandise store they don't have user ID implemented. Otherwise, we could also show you a demo right away.
But okay, we will reach out to you personally with our proprietary documentation, and we will get on with helping you regarding user ID implementation. Awesome. So I think we have one last question for today. The question is, if I have additional steps in my checkout funnel, can I add those, or is the funnel limited to 3 options? This was actually a question from one of our clients, and it's a real use case. So just let's Anshul take us through the answer for the same.
Yeah, sure. So the steps under checkout funnel are not limited to 3. I mean, each and every e-commerce store will have the different checkout funnel. Some might have 2 steps, some might have 4. So Google Analytics actually allows you to add as many steps as you want. So the funnel is not at all limited to 3. If I want to add 5 steps, I can add. I can of course add that.
Awesome. If you guys have any more questions, please feel free to leave those to us, and Anshul, Bismay, and I, we will personally get back to you with the answers. For now, as a token of gratitude, I'm going to launch this one offer, which is actually a very time sensitive limited offer that I have. We have only 10 available units, and if you guys could just let us know, I can arrange a free audit for anyone who opts for it. And our experts will just go through your basic GA implementation and tell you how you can make it better. All right. So just let us know if you'd like to take it up, and I will get back to you personally. Okay, moving on. We have one more webinar, which is a part 2 to this webinar. It is on how e-commerce businesses can multiply sales with advanced analytics on Google Analytics 360 data, where we shall cover predictive remarketing, predictive uninstall of your app, and predictive LTV, lifetime value analysis. So if you guys could RSVP right away, what I'll do is register on your behalf from the backend, so that you don't have to go through the entire process of registering yourself again. You shall receive a confirmation email straight away, and that's all. You're ready to attend the next webinar as well. So please do let me know. I will keep this on for the next 5 seconds, and the offer is also still on, so you could just sit between the two and let me know. We will get back to you over the email in the next 2 days. Okay, so I think the offer is also all right. Thank you so much for attending the webinar. Thanks a lot. I hope to see you in the next webinar as well. Have a good day, and thanks a lot.
Thank you, everybody, for being a patient audience. Hope to see you back again in our next webinar. Okay? Yeah, sure.